Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to teach you specifically how to create an ultimate sales bot, which will cover all the features that you need to learn on creating any kind of sales requirement for your clients. Number one is obviously capturing leads through Airtable. So how do you capture leads from Voiceflow, send them to Airtable using an API so that you can access them whenever you want. Second, how to reply to queries using knowledge base, right? Again, you might know this, but I just want to show you once more on how to incorporate all of this. Third, how do you integrate Calendly in the voice chat itself? So someone wants to book an appointment with you, you don't want to send them out to another URL. They should be able to book it directly within the chat, and you can do that with Voiceflow, and I'll show you how. In addition to that, I want to allow them to talk to someone immediately. So if someone comes to my chatbot and wants to tell her, I want to talk to someone, I don't have a 24/7 sales agents. They should be able to talk to an AI which will call them on their phone, and they can just talk to them and get their queries answered. I'm going to teach you all of these steps, so let's get started with step number one. Now quickly let me show you a quick demo of how step number one will work. Right, very simply, you get a greeting message, right, and then so let me quickly show you a demo of how this works. Right, very simply, it tells you a greeting message, then it asks you for your name, and I'm just going to write Akshat, and then it's going to ask you for an email also. I'm just going to put a@a.com. Again, it's not validating anything. We don't want to do that right now. We're just trying to focus on something very simple, right? And I'm just going to put my number here, and that's it. Right, and I've just put in a random number. Again, we are not validating it, and as soon as it does that, I should be able to see this data in my Airtable database, right? So let me just show that to you. Perfect. So now the data is visible in the database. Again, you can see the details that we just entered. We can also add more details if required, right? Now, how do you do that, right? Very simply, we're going to come back to this. I'm going to click back so that we exit out of the runtime. Now, very specifically, you start with simply just telling a simple message. This is just go ahead, click anything that you want to enter any kind of message, you can just take a text block and add it, right? So again, this is pretty much simple to do from there. Now the second part is where you have to capture replies, right? So when I'm saying I'm not validating data, because a lot of times users don't want to share their data, they might want to enter something random, and I'm allowing them because I just want to have information, and in a long number of people will have good leads which are actually interested in the services. So again, you just select entire user reply, which means that everything that the user is going to say is going to get captured in this variable. Now we have a variable called username. Similarly, we have a variable called user email and user phone and others, right? All these three variables can be changed. So if in case of user email, I want to create a new variable which says email from user, or just make it market X, I should be able to do that and just mark that. Okay, so it's pretty simple. You can just create a variable as you want and proceed with that. Once you create a variable and you can link all of this together, you come to this block. This is where whole magic is happening, right? Where we send it to Airtable. Now this is what's called an API call, and I'm going to show you step by step on how to recreate that, right? So step number one, very simply come to this dev block, select API and put this here, right? Once you put this here, now you have multiple options. If you haven't worked with APIs, they are nothing but just a way for technology systems to talk to each other. So one computer is talking to another using an API. API is that bridge that you can imagine about. So we're going to select post. What post means? Post means we are sending data, we are posting the data to this system. Okay, so here we are going to enter a URL, we are going to add headers, parameters, and everything. Don't get overwhelmed, I'm going to show you how to do that. Now when you come to the Airtable base, you have this thing where you can see all the requirements, how to input data. Airtable already has great documentation. How do you get to that documentation? It's pretty simple. Whenever you open Airtable, I'll show you steps on how to do that. You open Airtable, let it load, and come down below and select Developer Hub. Once you click on Developer Hub, you will actually start seeing all the databases and everything that you have created. Now again, I'm not going to teach you how to do that. So just click on the left and click on Developer Docs, and you can learn how to create using database and everything else in Airtable. But very simply, you just come here and see the reference for your base. I'm going to select Better with AI, which is the base that I have created. Now base is nothing but just a collection of tables. And you come here, and this is the table name that I have, which is called leads table, and I'll select create a record. And on the right hand side, I can already see all the data that I need to use to create this table. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay, perfectly. Now what I want to do is, again, this is still too complex if you haven't worked with databases or APIs before. What we're going to do is we are going to use another tool, and this is one of our, I'll say one of my favorite tools, right? And it's called Postman, right? You can utilize this, and I'll tell you why you should do this. When you copy paste this data, just copy paste, just Control C, and we're just going to paste this here. You're going to have something amazing happen. As soon as you input that, all that data has gone and converted into something that we can use. Okay, so you can see there is headers, and here are the headers where you have authorization and content type. Now if we go back to Voiceflow, you can also see there is something called headers, right? Beautiful. Now we can just copy and paste data. In addition to that, they also create something called body, right? And you have all the data that you need to send a request literally in seconds. So this is the best way to create APIs through Voiceflow. I just paste it in Postman and I can just copy paste data from here. So let me show you. Very simply, we're going to copy this URL in the post, select this, paste it here, and then come to headers and do the same thing over and over. Now I will tell you what authorization means, so I'll keep it blank, but other than that, you can just copy paste and go forward with your data. Again, why am I showing you this? So that you can see it's super easy. You don't need to figure out anything else. Just come here. In body, you can't select form data. You have to select something called raw. Raw means simply just you are inputting an open request, open JSON text, and we are just going to copy and paste this data. Okay, once we are done here, okay, once all of these things are done, there are still one more step that is required. There are actually two steps. Number one is adding authorization. Now, authorization always starts in Airtable with a bearer token. Now, again, I'm not going to go in detail. It's just simply a way to authorize that this data is being written by someone who is actually authorized to write on this. You don't want everyone to access your database. You don't want everyone to do that, right? So just start with bearer, and then you're going to come back. We're going to come back to Airtable Developer Hub, and you can see this personal access token, right? And when you want to create this, you can click on create new token and you can name a new token. So let's say I'm just going to write test, select the scope. Now what does scope mean? What do you want to allow this token to do? Do you just want it to read records? Do you want it to do a bit more? I'm just going to select write. That means I'm going to allow it to write the data as it is. Let me move myself. And then you have the option to add a base, right? And then I'm going to just select better with AI. That means it can only write data to this particular database and nowhere else. And just click on create token and you will get this token created and generated for you. Again, best is not to show this. So again, just hide this from anyone and just always use it for yourself. This token is not going to work after this. I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so I already have all of this set up, right? Let's come back here. So just a second. And you can see me here and you have all this data and you can input the token here in any way that you want. So better option is not to copy and paste it, but actually create a variable. As you can see, I have variables which are for APIs. What you can do is API and we can write Airtable and create a variable. And in this, we can set the default value to the token that we just created. Okay. And once we start using that, it's super easy because you can access that database, and always, in case you want to change the database or change the API key, you can always just go ahead and do that. I'm just going to write h right now and just set it to create variable. That's it. Well, now after doing this, we are on to the last step, and I'm just going to come back to my block here to show you how it will actually look. As you can see, we have selected fields and everything input. You can see that here when we were copying and pasting from Airtable, you can add multiple inputs if required. We don't want that, so we are just going to remove this. You just want this last column available to you, which is called fields. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's what we want, and you are good to go once you have this data. I'll come back and show you how it works. Now, everything that we captured, the name, the email and phone number are in variables. So you have username, user email and user phone number. What you have to do is you have to come here. So this is how it will look. Let's say Akshat written here. You have to come here, put on a curly brace, another curly brace and write user name. Now, this is just a way to select the variables that you are using, because this is how Voiceflow looks at it. Okay, very simply, when you click that, it will show you in that format. It will show you all the APIs and the variables that you're using. Okay, perfect. Now because that's just the way how Voiceflow processes data. It looks at curly braces as variable holders. Okay, so again, remember to utilize them and go forward that. That is how you technically trigger a Voiceflow API. Okay, it's very simple. You just input all of this data and go through that. That's step one. Let's come to step number two, which is where we are going to talk about very simply replying to user queries. Now, this is a pretty simple one, honestly. Like, it's not that difficult. I have a simple prompt here set up, which is reply to the user mentioned here and in a polite manner about AI services that we offer. Ensure to ask a question to keep the conversation going for the user, ask about more details or a problem that they're trying to solve, right? Now, if you look at it, this is getting directly connected here. We need to still capture the user's information, okay? So if someone says, I have a question, I'm going to delete this and I'm going to put one simple button called listen. I'm going to add this capture option, and here we are going to capture the entire user reply in a variable called user reply. That's pretty simple, right? And what I want to do is I also want to give them a prompt that please tell your question, and we're just going to keep it there and attach this connector here and this one here, and that's pretty simple, right? That's it. Once you do that, you can come here and edit the prompt as you want. I've kept a very simple one to just show you how can you make something simple, just to give it options, allow it to ask questions and do that. But right now there are two options available to us here. One is AI model, the second is knowledge base. Why I have selected knowledge base? As you understand, knowledge base is nothing but just a place where I've stored more information about the services Better with AI provides. So if you go to Better with AI, right, this is how the knowledge base looks. I have just input everything from my website here. So I can just go here and input any URL that I want. So if I put betterwithai.in and click import, it will start adding all that data here. Already it has added it and it will refresh as required. Again, you can do it with any kind of URL, but the idea is you can do it with multiple type of sources also. So plain text, uploading files, sitemaps, integration, anything that you want. I've just done it with one website, you can do that. So what happens right now is that whenever I ask it a question, it goes and references all the data that has existed on my website and then answers the question based on that. So in case I need to update my website, I can do it anytime and my AI will still know the relevant information available. Okay, so this is actually the most easiest part. So we are just going to start from scratch here and we are just going to select an option. I have a question and I'll show you how to create this. I have a question and then simply please tell a question. What services do you provide? And let's just see how that responds, right? It technically should just simply tell you all the options and answers it has. Perfect, right? AI-driven solutions, personalized chatbots, strategic consultancy, and this is everything that's listed on my website that we can help you with. So in case required, let me know. But again, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and you can utilize that, right? Then it simply goes back and again gives me more options because I've controlled it in the same way possible, right? So knowledge bases are pretty easy. You can do a lot with them. There are tons of tutorials on how to utilize them more. And if you have tons and tons of knowledge, you can have extremely great options available. But come back to this. Now, how to add this is very simply, you go to listen and select buttons. That's pretty much it. You just add a button as you want. So if you enter high, it will start showing button as a high button, right? And if I want to add more options, I'm going to delete this here. If I want to add more options, I can just go ahead and click add button as I want. It's very simple because the point is it allows users to navigate through a flow, which is very easy for them to just click rather than always texting and inputting data. Okay, perfect, awesome. Okay, let's come to feature number 3, where we are going to integrate on showing a Calendly option right there in our chatbot. Now, let me show you how that looks so that you can understand what we are working with here. So this is how it looks when you add Calendly to your calendar invite here, right here in Voiceflow. Now, why I had to show you this on prototype version, because it does not work when you are testing it within Voiceflow. It's based on how we utilize it. So it's just to test it here. You can select a day, you can have a call with me, you can book today, 10:30 p.m. and just go ahead and select as you require and just schedule an event. It's super simple and it automatically works within the bot. The best part of having it within the bot is just that you don't have to send someone outside your website so that they can stay on the page itself, right? Now, how to do that is actually done in 2 steps. Number one step is to have a set variable. You can go to the function logic, click on set, and you'll get this option of setting a URL. After that, we're just going to select a variable. The variable is URL that I am using, and I have a calendar invite with me. I have already a Calendly event with me. So very simply, I'll go here, input this, and put double quotes between both of them, and between that is where my URL will stay. That's pretty much it. Once I do that, I've already done that here. I connect it to this code here. Now this code is again thanks to a great YouTuber who put this. I will link that description below, and you can utilize this code to put that. Only thing that you have to do is input the URL right here. So in the source, just input that URL variable and it will render a Calendly event. So all you need is a Calendly event with a URL, and you can render Calendly invites right there within your chatbot. Again, it's super cool and something that you should definitely try because it gives an amazing experience to someone who's coming to your website. Awesome. Let's come to step number 4 or 3 and then 4 actually. Allow them to talk to someone immediately. Now this is where we'll use another service called Bland.ai. Now Bland.ai, if you don't know what it is pretty super cool, and I'm just going to show that to you in a second. Now Bland.ai is a complete AI based calling system. Now the best way to utilize this is just to sign up and come to this part, which is a developer portal. On the left hand side you can see a lot of options. We're just going to select send call because that's the only thing that we want to do right now. Okay, so again you can test it out, you can send a call using a phone number, but we are just going to stick with this and just input a basic prompt. So your name is Alan, and I've given it a basic prompt that you are working in an AI automation agency, you know a couple of things and you're going to work on that. Again, you can create as many prompts as you want and work on them as required. Okay, so we are not going to go in depth about prompting here with this. Then you have a couple of options. You have the option of choosing the language. We're just going to keep it in English right now. You can choose the voice that you want to work with, the model default, the threshold, and again, tons of options. But technically, once you select the language and voice model, you're good to go. You don't need to do things. The only one thing that I would suggest to do when you're testing this is set the max duration to a lower time, because you are going to pay per minute. So if someone is just talking to your chatbot, and if it is a high ticket client, sure, spend as much time as you want. But I like to keep it to 2 to 3 minutes again when I'm testing it, so that very simply I'm not spending a lot of money while testing. Again, it's up to you, but just a question. So again, then you have this simple option, and then one more thing that I've added is a request data, where I simply tell the prompt or the chatbot that this is the name of the person that you are going to be dealing with. Okay, perfect. Now let me show you how this actually works. When you come here, you have an option to create something called show code. Once you start option in this, you have all the details available already here. Right now, again, we'll do the same step as before. We're going to copy this code very simply and come to Postman, and let me just bring Postman up here. Come to Postman and pasted all of this. Right now, again, I've already done that, so I'm just going to show you how it looks in Postman. Now let me just bring this. I actually did that for everything. So yep, this is how it looks for Postman here. It has all the data available in this place. You also have the headers, which has the key, which I'll have to delete after this, is authorization and content type, so that you can put everything together. Now we'll come back to Voiceflow and I'll show you exactly how you can copy and paste this data again to schedule a call. Come back here, very simply, you come, I want to book an appointment, that's it, or I want to talk to someone. So you select that and you come and do a simple API call. Again, same steps as before, select dev, select API and bring this here. Now in this post format, what we're going to do is, we are going to copy and paste data from Postman. So I'm just going to show you left and right how does this look. We take this data, paste it here, and then we'll have our headers where we'll paste the headers part. So we'll have content type and application, we'll just paste that. And then also then we'll have our raw data, which will be present in this body here available. Okay, now when you come to this part, the only thing that you have to change in this body is the phone number. You can see I'm working in India, so very simply my phone number start with +91, which is the country code, and we're going to put this user phone together with that. Now user phone is being captured in step number 1, so you can send a call directly with that. Again, then you have all the things already configured. Another thing that I've added, which I have forgotten to make it into a variable, is the name of the user that we are talking to, so that when Alan calls me, it's just a decent conversation. Okay, so without any further ado, let's test this. And just to mention again, you have the Bland API key already set as a variable, so that I'll have to change it now. And again, I can change it by just changing the variable values. In case I just want to show you actually how to change variable values, you can just come to this place which has variables, and you can change values from here. Again, there are default values set here, so you can change that and just go ahead with that. Okay, perfect, awesome. So let's test this part of the API. So let me just give it a second. Okay, I've initiated this, and I'm just going to wait for a call in a second. And as you can see, this is already coming, and obviously we can talk to it. I'm not sure if you can hear, but let's see. Hi.
Hello, this is Alan from the Better with AI sales team. How can I assist you today, Name?
Can you tell me about the services that you are offering right now? It got disconnected, probably I pressed something, but the idea is that it works. Obviously, you can't see my number because I don't want it to be public, but the idea is it works, and we can probably test it again and go forward from there. So again, very simply, I just wanted to show you all the things that you can do. Right, again, everything that you can store, keep the data, we have all the information. And if you have watched till here, and I hope you like the whole video, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me a lot. It takes a lot of time in putting all these tutorials together, but a like would make my day. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one. And yeah, just create amazing sales bots. Bye bye.